ready to start? Is that what
We
we're
are
doing?
started. This is how we start.
Okay. All right. So you're asking me what I've learned over the 40 years.
I mean, you're not the same person you were 40 years ago, not even 3 years ago, not even a year ago. But you're standing here, and what you have is now, I believe, a capacity to have revelation and insight about how things work. I think you have wisdom.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I
Yes.
wanted to know how you see the world, given the magic that we could get a little more fundamental. You must say that the way therapy occurs in the culture now isn't like something is wrong with you. It's just like another modality of treatment that people consider in terms of getting healthy. So you guys have done a great job turning it from the inner sanctum to acceptable treatment. I love therapy. I think it's access to something I can't get to any other way. So for me, it gives me, so it's magical to me. So anyway, I want to know about you, and I want to know where you are how you're seeing the world right now. That's kind of why.
Okay. So Mark, the interesting part is when I decided to become a therapist, it wasn't really to become a therapist. I wanted to get a master's in marriage and family counseling to be the best mother that I could possibly be. And one of the professors kept saying, Janet, you have to come into practice with me. And I said, okay, I'll do it for a month. And that month hooked me, because what you're talking about, when someone is so vulnerable and open and going through their process and asking you to help them with their process, it is a magical experience, but it's really this heartfelt, spiritual experience that I feel so honored to participate in. So where 40 years ago, I may have thought, oh, what am I going to do to fix this person? And the kids would come in and I'd think, I need to adopt them. I don't want to send them home with their parents. I was the rescuer. Now I am someone on the journey with these people, and I just sit there with them on their journey. If they want feedback, I'm there to give feedback. If they want direction, I'll do that. But you're so right about the wisdom. After being on the planet as many decades as I've been, I figure I have things to share. I've been through things, and I have learned from each and every one of those people that have come in to see me. So it's been this wonderful experience.
Fabulous, fabulous. Now I'm going to ask some very unusual questions. So in my work, what I'm looking at and for is the particular way people listen. So I say that as you have done this work with thousands of people, you hear differently when they speak. So you hear now from a different place than you did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Tell me a little bit about how you hear people differently now than you did before.
I believe the journey in life opens up our hearts. And so when I'm here heart to heart with somebody, the judgments disappear, the criticism, the physical appearance, anything like that just disappears, so that I can hear one heart to another heart. I don't think at age 25 or whatever I was able to do that because of the ego that gets in the way of how am I doing? How are they perceiving? That all changed as time went on. And then beyond that, because I've worked with grandparents that then put their kids in, that put their grandchildren. This is over decades of working with people. And I know their family histories. I know what's been passed along the line from great grandparents on down. I get to put it into a spiritual realm of, we're all on this planet together. We're all doing the best we can. And when we make mistakes, guess what? We all do. And it isn't anything that we need to be criticized for or judged for. We are all trying to get better here on the planet. So it's this amazing journey that life is like this anyway, if we're open to it. But I do believe, as I see my patients being more vulnerable, I go, this is the part that that's probably the hardest for everybody on the planet, to let that wall down, to let those masks down and really show up heart to heart, person to person.
It takes the most courage.
It does.
Yeah, and so one of the things I find in the work that I do in therapy is a way to see myself where I've been chicken shit. And so it's like, oh, I see. And so I see another side of me, and I have the safety in that relationship to see that. So I think therapy provides a way of reflection that is helpful for your self-development. You have a program, Facing Your Fears program. Do you deliver one
Right.
of those?
So yeah, so 16 years, I think it was about 16 years ago, my daughter, who's now a therapist also, and my younger daughter's going to be a therapist, she's in school. She wanted me to watch The Secret, that DVD that came out with Jack Canfield and John Gray and all the people on it. And I watched it and I said, oh, this is what I've always believed, that there's so much power within all of us to make changes, but we have to start with our thoughts, with our energy, and clear our own stuff out. And so I started going to my clients and saying, how about if I run groups based on this book? And they said, wonderful, wonderful. And I started writing assignments for each of them to do, because I've taught a goals and motivation program. And I realized that you can write down goals, but unless you clear out the emotional baggage, you may not achieve those goals, even though your heart and soul wants them. So these assignments in my book, Facing Your Fears and Following Your Dreams, each chapter has you look at things within yourself to see, oh, that might be why I'm reacting or overreacting or hiding or being judgmental. And so there are 52 assignments in that. And I really, when I go back to my childhood, I was afraid all the time because my mother was afraid. She role modeled fear. And I got married and was very fearful when he worked late, I was afraid to be home alone. All these things that just to me don't make sense anymore today. There were like monsters in the boogeyman in the closet. And I decided I'm going to find out why I'm so fearful, and I'm going to face every fear I have. So I started going to movies alone, restaurants alone. I went to Mexico and camped on the beach alone. I said, okay, I still need more. And I went to Africa, South Africa during apartheid, and went into witch doctor ceremonies and safaris, and met with people all alone, with people I had never met before. Wonderful cultural experience. And again, I'm thinking, okay, what more can I do? And I've raised my kids to say, let's not be afraid. Let's go jump out of airplanes with a parachute. Let's bungee jump. Let's climb Half Dome with the ropes and the pulleys. So they have this great spirit of adventure. And pretty soon, every fear that came up was be like, okay, this is a challenge. This is a challenge to be more courageous. And the last thing I did 5 years ago is walked across Spain, the Camino, with a backpack all alone for the 500 miles, not knowing where I was going to be the next night, getting lost because I'm a little bit ADD, and just experiencing so many people from all over the world. And that was filled my heart and soul so much that I went back the next year, did the coastal route, went back the next year, did Portugal. I want to go again next year if things have opened up by then. So it's been a journey for sure.
Fear could be the North Star. You use the word spirituality or spiritual when we began talking. And so in the worlds that we deal in, people don't quite have a relationship with it in a way that they feel it doesn't have religious overtones. So they stay a little bit away from actually exploring that area of themselves. And that's one of your challenges, because you have to open that part up of them so that they can allow it to happen. And exactly. So tell me how you do that.
I first had to go on that part of life's journey myself to see, where where is this thing called spirit, and how does it interact with the other spirit? And I think that I was with my father when he passed away, which was a wonderful blessing in that way. And I was with my aunt when she passed away, and something happened. I've been at births before where somebody gave birth, and it felt very similar. Death and birth, and that experience of being with somebody at that very special time felt so similar. And my whole life has been, raised in one religion, Christianity, and then exploring Buddhism, exploring every kind of religious belief I could look at, be with, understand, so that I could understand we are all one. And I remember one person who described God and our being as like, God is the ocean, and we're just a drop of that ocean. We are all a part of God, and God is a part of us. And I went, oh, I get this. I feel so in tune with all of this. And I have people that work in my office who are channelers and mediums and healers. So when they come in and talk to me about, oh, your father's behind you, this is what he wants to say, I know that that's true. I can hear him too. I can feel him. I know there's more than just what's right here on this planet. And I'll tell you an interesting, the Ho'oponopono prayer, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. It healed all these criminally insane people. Have you heard about that?
I went to another place that you took me, which is, I wonder why people are afraid of that.
Of the spirituality?
What is the resistance to opening up to that as a possibility that you can have that in your life? What's the stop to it?
I think more people are opening up than ever have before. I think this COVID-19 has asked us to look at our spirits, to look at our shadow side that has to come out to be healed, so that we no longer hurt one another, so that we're accepting and embracing of one another. And so I do believe that, what would I say, is that sometimes religion creates a sinner and someone superior. And then people get this feeling like, oh, I'm in trouble. I feel guilty. Someone's watching over me. And I don't think it was ever meant to be like that. I think that there's a misinterpretation of God, universe, spirituality, where, we're all trying the best we can. And as we make mistakes, we learn. If we just kept going the same way, doing the same thing, none of us would grow or learn. I do think when someone's sitting across from me, it's spirit to spirit. We're in human bodies, but it's spirit to spirit. And as I think I've opened up, my clients have opened up to that. I think it's just exchange of energy. We're just exchanging the energy.
Okay, I have a more simplistic way of coming about it, but that's me. I'm a simple man. How I talk about it is religion is outside in and spirituality is inside out. And, the job that you have, particularly more than I do, is to get that inside to be the outside. And so I understand. You and I began to have a certain word reappear and reappear, which is uncertainty. So let's end the interview with talking about what everybody has in their future now, which is total uncertainty about what will occur. And so when people don't have control, they have trust issues oftentimes, but not all the time. So there's all kinds of, energy, hostile energy that I can feel too, as well as the opportunities that you just spoke about. So what do you tell your folks about uncertainty and how they need to be in uncertainty?
So the truth is, I think we fooled ourselves all along to believe we weren't in uncertainty, because we don't know moment to moment what's going to happen to the people we love, to ourselves, to the planet, weather-wise, health-wise, illness, disasters and accidents, things like that. And, the people who want the most control because they want certainty, probably have the hardest time right now with uncertainty, because if you have $1 million in your bank account and everything's planned out and your day's really structured, guess what? With this COVID-19, it's not working anymore. But it was actually, I think, a facade when people were thinking, I've got this under control. Because what do we have under control? We have our responses to things. We have how we flow with life. But to really have control over nature or the universe or even our children, I mean, think of how they decide how to live their lives in spite of what we think is best. And so I think, okay, now the truth is coming forward for all of us. We are in uncertainty with the disease, with the riots and the protests and the, I think, many lessons that still need to be learned so that we can treat each other with kindness and respect, treat the animals with kindness and respect, treat the planet with kindness and respect. This journey is just starting, and I think people should buckle up their seatbelts and be ready. You're going to live in a time of change and uncertainty.
Yep.